Hello, this is Madalaina D'Angelo, and welcome to episode 3 of #SoStressed, Life Behind the Curtain. And I'm here today with Meredith Eib. She is a DC-based actor and teacher, and I will let her take over her introduction from here. It's always so awkward when I start these. I'm like, now I'm going to talk to Mike while one of my friends sits next to me. It's
like what to say. Yeah, no, my name is Meredith Eib, and I'm a local DC actress, singer, teacher, whatever. Wear many hats, I know is what you say. Yeah,
human person.
But
slash.
Exactly, yeah. But graduated from Catholic University in musical theater in 2017 with Madalaina. And originally I'm from like the Boston area, New Hampshire, more specifically the Seacoast area of New Hampshire. But decided to stay down here after school, went home and did like a summer theatrical contract, and then decided to move back to DC, and since have kind of been, wearing many hats as a teacher, which I'm sure we'll talk more about, and then a private lessons teacher as well as a classroom teacher, actor, singer, musical theater, human being. So.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of all over the place.
It's crazy how quick a year has gone by, though.
Insanely quick.
In moving, I realized, okay, I'm leaving my college apartment, but, this is my second DC home. This is our second year post-grad, basically.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just kind of when did that happen? Because I still feel like it was summer after sophomore year.
No, totally.
But, it feels very weird.
My roommate and I just re-signed our lease for this next year, and I, literally blinked 2 days ago we were signing our lease last year. It's so bizarre.
It went very quickly, even when it felt like it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that makes sense.
No.
But the only month that took forever this year was January.
Audition season.
Yeah, and it just
that
feels
whole
like
time.
a really long time ago.
Yes.
Because I'm not, just what I was doing then and then now, it's just whoa. Not that it's much different, but it's I was working for a company that I did not end up really enjoying, and it was interesting coming off Carousel, because I was gone for the summer you, and then was gone through October. I came back, I had one job lined up, but it wasn't enough to sustain, so I was basically applying for everything and picking up whatever I could, because it was just make the money. So it was just I got offered the job, worked there, and then it just didn't end up being the fit. But it's crazy how much in a year of or how much even in 7 months that it flips,
Yeah.
When you think of your first year post-grad, did you think you did what you thought you were going to be doing?
Not in the slightest. Oh my God, when I graduated, the last thing I thought I'd do was sign a classroom teaching job. I just had no idea that that's kind of what would happen. But and I was so nervous too, and I'm sure we might get into this more, but I was when I got my teaching job, which I teach at a Catholic small elementary middle school here in the DC area, and I teach pre-K through 8th grade, and just was not a music education major, any of that.
That's the bigger thing I was thinking. Yeah. So this episode, I wanted to bring Meredith on because in terms of side hustles or what we're all doing when we're not on stage, we overlap in terms of the teaching, but you have had a very, very different experience than I have, and that the fact that you're a classroom teacher for all these grade levels, and it's what you literally did not study.
No. And I took one class in curriculum
and
planning.
Your lesson planning, and I was baffled. I was oh my God, I would have just talk about feeling not fish out of water, because you've taught.
But the administrative side of teaching, I think, is the thing that everybody forgets about. It's so much the planning and the grading, and just something that I was kind of thrown into this year and have enjoyed. I enjoy that side of it, because it's a lot of learning myself too, growth and development and how minds develop, and what kids can understand at different ages has been really interesting for me to kind of figure out, but has been a totally different experience than what I thought I'd be doing this year.
What did you think? And again, planning is odd, but I thought about it, what I would be doing my first year post-grad. Did you ever give thought to what side hustles would be, or what you knew you wanted to do when you weren't in between all the auditioning and booking and
so
et cetera?
I've always kind of known that I have two, like, very distinct interests, and one is, like, performing and theatrics, obviously, music, and then one is, like, the humanities side of me, I guess, like, which I guess, like, performing is to an extent, but there's the side of me that's, like, always wanting to do a million different things, like social work activities or service or education or just something having to do with directly, like, impacting others in that way. So I knew that teaching or performing would probably be, like, one of the two roads that I went down, and didn't quite anticipate it to be, like, a blend of those right away. So my senior year at Catholic, I think, like, was a lot of us, I think, had a crazy year, senior year, but
senior year was a lot different.
It was.
Than I thought senior year was going to be.
Yeah, so for me, like, senior year was kind of, I kind of feel like I grew into myself a little bit senior year, like, just a little bit more, like, seriously focused on performing and got a little bit better, like, I think, at performing than I was my first 3 years. Just something, like, clicked for me a little bit more senior year. Got a few chances to perform senior year that I hadn't previously, and just hit, like, the audition scene a little bit more than I did previously senior year. So I was, like, really committed, and I thought this first year post-grad for me would be, like, a classic, like, audition year. Try it out, like, really give it the 100% kind of, and then ended up, like, right, after school, I had 2 different theatrical contracts for last summer, loved them so much, but then this, like, job for teaching literally, like, fell out of the sky. This school called me up, and they had seen, like, an article about me in like, a Catholic newspaper from Catholic, did a feature on me, and just called me and pretty much, like, offered me the job. Like, I loosely interviewed for it, and that's kind of it, and it just, like, fell into place, and I decided to take it because I didn't really have anything else beyond the summer performing wise, like, that I knew of, and I wanted to get back to DC, and it just kind of, like, fell into my lap. But then I realized, like, what a big commitment I had taken on. I remember.
And that's something I wanted to talk about too.
Yeah.
Just, like, having a very committed 9 to 5, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Which many actors don't
get scared of.
Or
oh
I
my
should
God.
say don't, because they get scared.
And it freaked me out.
Because you're very unsure about the flexibility.
Oh, I was, like, I was
yeah.
so nervous to take it. Like, I was so nervous mostly because of what other people would think when I took it, to be honest with you. Like, I was so nervous, like, if I took a teaching job, are people going to be like, oh, she's not performing anymore?
Right.
So it literally, that, like, anxiety or that thought, like, I almost didn't take the job because of that. But then I was like, everybody has to do something. Like,
everybody has to pay their bills.
Everybody has to pay their bills.
Performing is, even when you're booked, it's normally not, regardless.
The level of performing that I'm at here in DC, like, I'm not necessarily rehearsing daytime, like, at any of the big houses that rehearse daytime. So it was like, for this past year, it gave me, like, a Monday, Wednesday, Friday that I knew I had a steady income, steady benefits, like, all of that I knew I had, and then I could have the freedom on the rest of my days, Tuesday, Thursday, weekends, holidays. Summer is a huge thing. Like, having my summer off is amazing.
So many bartenders I've worked with the last few summers down at the Jersey Shore have been school teachers because they have their summers free. Yeah. They literally move to the beach.
Yeah.
Like, and that is, I remember my mom's a college professor, and growing up, middle of June when we were done school, she packed us up and we were down the shore for 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, there is something to be said for that.
Most schools offer you, like, a 9-month or a 12-month contract, and anybody who wants to be a teacher, like, can definitely take the 12-month contract, which you get paid a little bit less throughout the year, obviously, because your checks, but then you're covered throughout the summer. Like, it's as if I didn't, it's as if I'm still working right now.
And I feel like that's a really nice security.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's a great security. But yeah. And then also just the fulfilling side of teaching. I mean, everybody always talks about it, like, how it's, powerful, and but it's nuts.
I fell in love with it more this year than I thought I was going to. Like, I had gone into it being like, I'm obviously going to teach dance because it's a great way to pay the bills. I enjoy it because I'm a dancer. Like, I might as well skills pay bills. Like, the old saying from Catholic.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I was like, why not use this skill to pay my bills? But in the back of my head, I was still like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Like, I feel like I might have to push myself through it. I ended up loving it.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to go back to the studio in September. Like, it's been weird not having classes this summer.
I know.
And there have been some incredibly powerful moments, yeah, but it's also really effing difficult.
It's so
and, like,
hard.
Anyone who chooses not to, or, like, I'm not saying glamorize teaching. Obviously, it is very moving. But, like, oh, my God, there's some days where, like, I've never felt like a more horrible person than when I want to punch a 7-year-old in the face.
Of course.
Like,
yeah. Oh, my God. No.
You feel
Every
awful,
teacher admits that.
yeah.
The lunchroom, I think, is, like, my favorite place because it's every teacher's place to come from, like, 12 to 12:30 or whatever, and they just sit there and they're like...
Yeah, like, do not talk
rant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
So, no, but I mean, I have a really cool experience where I teach 3-year-olds through 14-year-olds. So I teach...
That is cool. You got kind of the gamut.
I see, yeah, the whole school. So I have this kind of unique opportunity to teach 400 plus kids every week, which no other teacher in the school gets to know. Like, I know every sibling of a family that might be going to the school. Right. So I know that family so well. Or... next year I'll see those kids who were 6th graders, now they're 7th graders. I still have them, like, right. I'm continuing on with them.
Yeah, and, like, your 7th graders you'll see graduating.
Yeah,
year,
exactly.
Like that kind of
exactly. And it's just, like, I think it's the perfect amount of time where I see each group of kids for, like, 40 minutes every week, and then I... sweetly send them away, and Absolutely. I'm like, see you next Monday. Yeah, so it's nice where we don't get sick of each other, but I also it's also tricky because I have to really establish, like, my discipline strategies right. because I'm not their classroom, normal teacher.
Did you find there was an age range that you responded more to? Because I've realized that about myself.
Yeah.
I've taught from 3 to 18, but there's definitely a bracket where I'm like, this is what I prefer. This is who I think I'm best with.
So it's kind of, it's interesting. So for my classroom teaching, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, maybe 2nd, 3rd, 4th, like, that age range is definitely my favorite. But for my private teaching, I love, like, my voice lessons with my high schoolers. Like, I teach privately too, voice and piano, and I love my private lessons with high schoolers just because they're more invested, they know what they're doing, that kind of thing. But then I love, like, hanging out with the little babies. Like, the pre-K kids are the best to, like, go visit, like, during the day, and they all, Miss Eib, and, like, run up to you and, like, grab your leg, and it's cute. But I'd say for, like, actual instruction, teaching, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, probably, they just... They're not jaded, but they're still able to do things.
Right,
like, they're just such a fun, creative age, and they enjoy going to school still, which is so fun, But there's pluses and minuses to every grade for sure, though. So.
I found that, and I think the way you feel about your voice lessons and piano, when I teach with the teaching dance, I don't even know if it's the age bracket of when they're older. Maybe it's type of student, but just when they're focused and so invested in their learning, and you can get very technical and they're able to embrace it. Like, I love seeing a kid working so hard and something clicks and they get a move, and, like, it just that, and I love the little babies, but,
there's only so much. With them, it's more management than anything.
It's more management, and then there's just, people who teach, like, pre-K through 2nd year after year with a smile on their face and
angels.
A song and a heart.
They're literal angels.
Yeah, they have a patience and a love that I don't.
I watch them, and I'm literally in awe of, like, our K through 2 teachers, I would say, in my school. Like, I see the way they interact with their kids, and they're with the same, obviously the same kids 9 to 5 every whatever, so-and-so every week, and they know those kids inside and out. Like, they know every mannerism, they know every...
It's insane. But even
it's amazing.
The patience
the
alone.
Patience.
Like, I taught, I subbed a lot, but I also taught a kindergarten their first ballet class. It was 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Like,
oh my God, they're still in their pajamas, probably.
They were tired.
Yeah.
Like, and an hour at that age level is
so
a
much
long time. Like,
so
if
much.
You talk about a clock not moving, it's so much for them. So it was like, and they were the sweetest kids, but it was like feet in first position, pizza feet, and plie, and straighten. And it just, at the end of that 10-week contract, like, the kids were adorable. They took pictures with me because I was their first dance teacher. I was like, Jesus, I'm so old. But it wore on me. I was like, all right, I couldn't, like, God bless the people who were able to do it. But I think your classroom teaching was in such a stark contrast to what I've done, because I've worked in service a lot more. I am a bartender. That is, I bartend for a theater company, which is amazing. It makes me feel in the industry.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm still, I don't want to say the stereotypical actor route, but, like, I'm the bartending actor kind of thing, which is something you have not done. And I think it's interesting, regardless of kind of what path you took post-grad in terms of your side hustle or your side gig, like, it's all still the same roadblocks. Figuring out your schedule, figuring out how you're paying your bills, fitting in the auditions.
Oh my gosh,
contacting so-and-so. What happens if you book a show? How do you, like, like the whole, every place I've gotten hired, it literally has to be like, if I book something and I need to take myself off the schedule for 8 weeks, are you okay with that?
That's, like, for me, what the hardest thing about working at a school is. And I should have mentioned earlier that I think I said this, but I'm obviously a music teacher. So I teach music specifically, which has been great because I find that I spend every day singing and every day playing piano. At the end of the day, like, even if it's a lot of, like, yelling at kids and telling them to sit up or, like, telling them to stop talking, like, I spend every day playing piano and singing and, in the world of music.
Discover.
Which,
yeah. That's how I feel, like, teaching ballet.
Or even working at a theater,
that's
in the service side
exactly.
of it.
You're still, even though you're front of house, you're still helping make someone's night at the theater. You're involved.
Exactly.
It just, you're still doing what you love every day in a different facet.
Exactly.
But I think it's important because I think a lot of people get burnt out because what they start doing to pay the bills is not creatively fulfilling.
Exactly.
Even in some small way.
Yeah.
And I think that turns into a big obstacle for people.
Totally.
Because it's really hard. Like, grinding it out through audition season while also working is, like, it's insane.
And reminding yourself of, like, why you love it.
Enjoy this.
So for me this year, I mean, I obviously, since I'm a musical theater, like, person, I like to tie a lot of musical theater moments into my classes. And I think we had, like, a down day or something where it was, I think, during Tech Week for our musical, and I just was like, my lesson plans were not really there that week. So we were watching a clip from the filmed concert version of Carousel with Kelly O'Hara and Jessie Mueller, and I remember I was showing it to my 7th grade girls, and we were watching Mr. Snow, I think. Yeah, Mr. Snow and Jessie Mueller singing Mr. Snow, and then I showed them Beautiful and Jessie Mueller singing in, like, those two different really stylized ways that she sings, because she's perfect, literally. Yeah, and some of their faces were like, they just were in awe. Yeah. Like, they were obsessed with her. They loved her. They asked me for, like, 3 weeks after that, like, can we watch Jessie Mueller? Like, can we watch her videos? She's so good. Like, that kind of thing. And I just, for me, like, those little moments reminds me, like, I was absolutely that 13-year-old. Oh, my God.
That's been the funniest thing working with, like, middle schoolers. I choreographed The Little Mermaid Junior at a middle school.
Oh, my God, yeah. I wanted to ask how that went.
I fell in love with this group of kids. I love this school. I basically told our theater director, I was like, please hire me, like, anytime. Like, I will change my schedule to be here. Like, I loved that theater department. The kids were incredible. But it's so funny because I remember my middle school musicals really vividly, particularly my 8th grade show. It was Aladdin. So I'm watching, these 8th graders do a Disney show, and I'm spotting the, super intense dancers who are, like, front row center, always asking me questions. They want to talk about dance all the time. Sometimes they can be a little annoying, but they're so focused. They're the first person, like, giving one. And I was like, oh my God, it's me. Like, you, and I was like, oh, wow. So, 10 years ago, my old dance teacher was probably like, oh wow, look at the little 13-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's just like, it's almost cyclical where it's...
Yeah, totally,
you know.
cyclical. Oh my gosh. And I guess we should point out too, like, Madalaina choreographed I directed the musical. I directed the musical at my school too, and Madalaina choreographed it, which was so
Meredith
fun.
and I worked together creatively.
This year.
And her kids were incredible.
Really fun kids, really smart kids, and for so many of them, it was like their first time, and I just remember, like, the little conversations I would have with them about, like, character. I think I've mentioned this to you before, but my favorite is that my 13-year-old, or not even 13, he's like 12 or 11-year-old boy who played Jesus.
Yeah, he's young.
He was so young. He was so young. The youngest person in the cast, and we were sitting down and we were talking
about...
about...
conversation about Star Wars.
He's so awesome.
I was like, I'm having this really in-depth and nerdy discussion with someone who's half of my age, and it made my week.
So I was sitting down with him and I was trying to explain, shout out to CUA, the whole idea of, like, an objective, an obstacle, and a tactic. Freshman year. Throwing it back. So we were going through his opening monologue, Jesus' opening monologue, and I was like, okay, what is Jesus' point in explaining how the world was created here? And my Jesus, who, 11 years old or whatever, 12 years old, gets really quiet, and then I thought he was gonna, maybe ask me a question or say he didn't get it or something, and he goes, I think Jesus is trying to demonstrate his omnipotence.
Jesus
and I was like,
Christ.
What?
Oh my God.
And I was like, that's it, right there.
I'm like, push.
Yeah.
Again, so we all had, like, the actor dictionary.
Yeah.
Oh my God, demonstrate his omnipotence.
And I was like, that's totally it, because in that opening monologue of Godspell, like, that's what Jesus is saying. Like, I am the sun, the moon, and like, I have created it all, so I'm the only one who can do that. I'm omnipotent. Yeah. And I was like, that's totally it. Yes.
That's
perfect.
So funny.
And this kid is like 11 and he's never done a musical before or a show or anything. And I was like, cool. I just learned something too.
Yeah. Going to rehearsals where it is something I do enjoy about being, like, on the creative team to begin with, but going to rehearsals with kids who just have a genuine joy and just love for it, like
they make up for all the ones who don't.
Right. And then it's interesting too. I love going to rehearsals and when work is a show, like, it's incredible, but it's still a job, and there's some days you walk in for the 2 show days and it's 90 degrees out and you're just like, guys, I like coffee, like, I just need the kids. And in the midst of a really draining emotionally audition season, the kids were like keeping me going.
Yeah, because you can have you can have a really bad audition, which happens on the reg, but you can have a really bad audition, and then you can go back to your classroom or you can go back to your studio.
Even when it's, like, the last thing you want to do, but somehow by the end of the hour or whatever it is,
and
like,
they're, like, so excited to see you for whatever reason, and you're like, okay, I'm good at this
right
now.
Yeah.
To them, I'm really good.
Like, they just idolize you.
No, they
like,
do.
Oh my God, you're doing this professionally, or, like, you're trying to.
They love to hear stories. Yeah. So, but I think, going back to something you said earlier, I think the difference of what's really tricky for me as, like, a classroom teacher and a teacher is that if I were to get, I actually had to turn down or rearrange or kind of say no to a few things this year that would have taken me out of the school year, which that's, like, a thing that I have to think about when I'm re-signing my contract to teach, is like, okay, I'm kind of making a commitment for 9 months that I'll be here.
Right, you've made a choice in that regard. Is it going to restrict you from
and of course, I think, my administration at school and everything knows if something, they know I actively audition, like, if something were to come up that was, like, too good of an opportunity to turn down, they're so understanding. Like, they've had that happen before. They've had music teachers have to leave before, and I think they get it, but it's tough. It's hard.
It is tough, but when you have people working in the arts, you have to expect that, though, and I always offer, like, when I go into job, I will say, if I do, particularly if I'm teaching, I will say, if I do have to leave for an extended period of time, I can help find you a replacement.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, like, we have so many friends in our immediate pool, and most of us do teach or can, where it's very easy, and I always offer that too. I'm like, look, just there's always another actor to fill in, but that was interesting to me, like, your schedule, because it was I was offered an opportunity to apply for like a full-time salaried benefit job.
Yeah.
And it was just, frankly, if I book something, I want to leave and take it. You know, and it's I'm in all of you for doing it, you know, for like, no, but it's a really admirable quality. You know, because it is a tricky situation.
It's hard, and luckily it didn't come up too often, or sometimes, you know, it's like the types of things that I had to say no to were like not worth, I mean, they weren't worth losing a full-time or a salary in the end. Like, it wasn't enough of a builder, but
conversation you have to have with yourself that I'm not having because of the choices you made and what you're doing.
Or even just setting up auditions. A lot of auditions happen on a Monday because theaters are dark on Mondays, and I do teach on Mondays, and you know, I do have a limited number of days and flexibility that I can say to my administration, like, I'm out this Monday, or I'm going to come in late this Monday, and I have literally the best principal and assistant principal that I could ever wish for. Like, they're so supportive. Awesome. They're always asking me when my next
is having good people
literally
in your corner.
Literally, that's 90% of the battle is having people who are interested in what you're doing and want to support you through that. And so they've been amazing. So that's been great. I can't really imagine teaching at another school, to be honest, because of like the staff and the administration at my school have been so. I mean, I fit in like a glove, like right away, which was great. Yeah.
It ended up being not necessarily a teaching job. It was the right place, right time, right position.
Oh, yeah.
And it's completely understandable. But it's always interesting seeing how people, I don't want to say piece their lives together.
No, but that's really so
pessimistic, but it literally is just, I think I'm in awe, and I'm fascinated by people's drive and hustle. And coming out of school, how people are like, I'm getting an apartment, I'm paying my bills, and I'm gonna, you know, like, just particularly for people in our field, because we don't come out of school and we're like, let me apply for this full-time job that I'm going to go to Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
No, you have a million little jobs.
You have a million little jobs, a million little gigs, because little things will come up, like you had the concert down in the mall, like little stuff like that.
Stuff comes up so last minute too,
and
like,
you have to be able to rearrange your like work schedule. Like, I'm so week to week, and I know it drives the one bar I work at up a wall, but I'm so week to week because they'll schedule me and then I'll release all my shifts to pick up other days. And they're like, Madalaina, what? And I'm like, but if something comes up, you don't want to say no, and somehow you make it all work. Like, sometimes when I piece my life to the jigsaw puzzle of my life together, I don't know how it all falls into place.
But like, it usually does, though. And I have to remind myself of that a lot too. I'm like, because sometimes I'm queen of being booked in 3 places at 3 different times, like just having 3, you know, whether it be like a private lesson, or I'm scheduled to teach over here and sing at something over here and be at a rehearsal over here, you know, and just kind of like trying to make it all work, but usually it does, and people are usually understanding, I'd say, for the most part. So
it's all about the understanding people, though. Like, if I didn't have the coworkers and bosses I have at all of my jobs, there's no way I could make it work. Like, it really is, as much as it feels a little self-centered to be an actor sometimes, of just me, but it really is. There's so many people in your corner that my
staff is always like, when's your next show? Like, when are you performing? When can I come see you?
I know, I have so many coworkers who are like, people are genuinely interested and excited.
Ironically, like this past year too, I mean, I've always like done really like goody like musicals, not goody, but like really wholesome shows, like has always been my thing. Like, I've always done it, or children's theater, or like just really wholesome. And then of course, like when I get a job at a Catholic school, I do like Wild Party and Avenue Q and You're in Town, and like just these shows that they're not bad, they're just like edgier. And I have all these Catholic school teachers and like little families asking me what I'm performing in, and I'm like, don't come see. Like, I really just don't want to advertise it to you. But
this is not a thing.
But yeah, I was like, of course, this year. But yeah, it was fun.
It has to be a nice like dichotomy, though. You know, you're teaching, and then you
and then I go
on the other side,
do something crazy on the other end. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh my God.
For this conversation.
Of course.
I'm working on keeping episodes at 35 minutes, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I just feel like it's like a good, because that's always my work commute. So I'm always like, this is a good.
I think a lot of podcasters listen to this, but I'm a big fan of My Favorite Murder, which I think Julia was on your show recently, and she loves that too. She turned me on to it. And their episodes are like, they do mini episodes, which are 35 minutes, but then they do extended episodes, which are
so the ones I listen to
an hour 40 or something.
It's a podcast called Guys We Fucked by these two female comedians.
I've heard that that's a good one.
The anti-slut shaming and feminist podcast. I'm obsessed with it. It's so good. That's what kind of inspired this to begin with. But their episodes are like an hour and a half or longer. So it's like I sometimes have to break it up. And then you're like in the middle of a thought and you're like, where are we? I don't want to do that.
Well, I just did a show in Baltimore, and those hour and a half episodes were nice
because...
I
was just about to say it had to be the commute. Like, oh my God.
It was good. Yeah, they kept me busy, so.
Yeah, 100%. But, it's been an interesting first year post-grad.
So interesting.
And it's fun to see peers making different lifestyle choices than you, and it's still working for them.
It still works,
what I mean? Like, I love seeing what everyone's doing on the side of performing, because some people have found some like really interesting places to work, and they're meeting really cool people, and it's further extending.
And also just the thought of like what you do that first year post grad like doesn't define what you'll do forever. Like I'm definitely not of the mindset right now that I'm gonna be a music teacher for the rest of my life. Like maybe I will be, and like maybe that'll be cool, but I'm not like, I'm taking it, month to month, year by year.
I take it year. I take it lease to lease.
Exactly.
When I have a place to live, and then when I don't, we'll figure it out again. Like that, but I think it keeps it exciting and on its toes. And in our field, like, you need that.
And when I think about 5 years ago, like, what was 5 years ago? I was still living in New Hampshire, like, hadn't come to DC at all, like, hadn't been a musical theater major yet, like, hadn't taught anything. Like, the amount of things that change in a 5-year stretch, like insane. It's cool to see where things might end up,
Exactly. Like, I can't, much as you plan, things literally, speaking of falling out of the sky, using your expression from earlier, but it's very, very true.
It's so true.
Did you want to tell the audience anything you have upcoming?
Oh my gosh.
When artists promote
upcoming
work. And I will post Meredith's social media on the title page for this episode.
So, well, I think by the time this comes out, Urinetown will be closed. But I just performed with Still Point Theater in Baltimore, which is a great theater, so go see their upcoming season, I guess. But I just did Urinetown with them, and then in the fall, I'm part of this awesome new project called 19, which is with Through the Fourth Wall Productions, and it's a new musical about the 19th Amendment, which is the women's right to vote, and it's workshopping right now, like, all throughout the DC area, with the hopes that it'll be a full production by 2020, which would be the 100th year anniversary of the 19th Amendment. So 19 workshops through the fall at a bunch of different locations. 19themusical.com is its website. It's awesome. And then I'm also involved with Blueberries for Sal at Adventure Theater, which runs in September, October, I think, too.
Take your kiddos.
Yeah, that one's going to be super cute, and it's a New England story, and I'm a New England girl, so that one
we're very excited.
Yeah.
And DC Capitol Fringe Festival starts this weekend down in Southwest DC. If you are in the area, we have several friends performing in it. I'm in a show. There's a lot of new work going up. Go down to the wharf, have a drink, check out your local theater, and we will see you for episode 4 very soon.
Yay!
Hello, this is Madalaina D'Angelo, and welcome to episode 3 of #SoStressed, Life Behind the Curtain. And I'm here today with Meredith Eib. She is a DC-based actor and teacher, and I will let her take over her introduction from here. It's always so awkward when I start these. I'm like, now I'm going to talk to a mic while one of my friends sits next to me. It's like...
like, what to say?